Can we talk bigger picture here? I mean, we've seen in the last few weeks.
There's no big picture here.
Jerry Dipoto, a former Rockies pitcher, by the way,
right,
and former Angels general manager, fired by the Angels, or at least they part ways mutually, and he gets picked up in an advisory role by the Boston Red Sox. Dave Dombrowski, president of the Tigers, fired. He's picked up by the Red Sox to be their VP of baseball operations. These are two well-respected baseball people. One of them who knows how to pitch at Coors Field. Another one who built a lot of winners in Detroit. Do you think the Rockies even made a phone call? Why when the Red Sox have a bad season or two, do they try and fix it immediately? The Rockies have 6 bad seasons in a row, and they just keep muddling through.
I don't think when Dick Monfort said that Dan O'Dowd was the best general manager in baseball, I don't think Dick Monfort has any association
with anybody outside the organization.
I'd like to find him. I'd like to follow him around in baseball meetings. I don't think he knows anybody in baseball.
I'm with you.
I don't think.
I hear it all the time.
He can pick up the phone and call
Dave Dombrowski.
He can't call the Dodgers owner. I don't know. He could call anybody without having to say. And I'm not really making fun of him. Hi, who's the guy who owns Detroit? Pizza.
Elich, Mike Elich.
Yeah. Hey, Mike. This is Dick. Dick who? Dick Monfort. Oh, you own the team, and I don't think he can do that. I don't think he could pick up the phone and call Tony La Russa. La Russa go, Dick who? You own the Rockies?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think he would do that. I don't think he does do that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That I don't think he goes to a meeting. John Elway shows up at NFL meetings, or Joe Ellis. Joe Ellis was Pat's caddy, for want of a better term, for a long time. He's taken over. People know who Joe Ellis is in the league. I don't think people know Dick Monfort from me.
Have you guys ever heard this story? When Nolan Ryan separated from the Houston Astros, you've heard this story? I've had a couple of people tell me this. Somebody went to him and said, would you be interested in taking over the Rockies? And he said, you know what? That would be really intriguing. I'd love to be able to help solve their pitching problem. And somebody went to Dick Monfort and said to him, Nolan Ryan would be interested in talking to you. Would you want to reach out to him? And Dick Monfort's response was something to the effect of, why would I do that?
You guys,
is that how you heard the story?
Basically, yes.
He is the most uncurious person in all of sports. He doesn't care what goes on in other organizations and doesn't want to hear about it.
Okay, and both of you gentlemen have said repeatedly.
Thank you for referring to us as gentlemen.
Yes, you're welcome, sir. You have said repeatedly, made repeated commentaries, shouted to the high heavens, the Rockies need a baseball guy as a president. And if you have that baseball guy as a president, then you network on behalf of the Rockies, so you can call Elich up, so you can have a conversation with Nolan Ryan, so you can court Dave Dombrowski if you think that's the right thing to do for your team. And they don't have that person, and until they have that person, whether Walt Weiss manages the Rockies in 2016 or not doesn't really matter.
Why wouldn't you bring in Jerry Dipoto in an advisory role? Just an advisory role.
Because we come back to it. I mean, it's sad, but it's sickening that this is. They call Revis Island. It's Montford Island.
Yeah.
You know what he talked to me about a year and a half or so ago? You know, I'm really sorry I don't get to spend more time with you, but I'm serving on all these boards. He's serving on the board at UNC. He's the president of the board of UC Health, CU Health, whatever it is. He's on like 15 boards. That's not something the owner of the team could do that, but the president of the team shouldn't be.
Runs the team.
Yeah, but he is doing. I see it every day. Just bought Romano's Macaroni Grill. He's a part owner of that. Really, Dick? You want to do this? then get rid of all that other stuff and actually connect with other people in baseball.
Can you think of one other owner in baseball who's also the president of his team?
Who?
Can you think of one?
Off the top of my head, no.
I
but
can't either.
Okay, but so you said he's
but
one of the least curious men you know. I don't know if I agree with that. I think I go more of Woody. What his curiosity is outside of baseball. So let somebody else run the baseball team.
Yeah.
And see, I'm not so sure when you said we do it, I come to the conclusion that I don't know that it has to be a baseball person. I want a guy, maybe if he is right, he thinks Bridich is a sharp young general manager, he wants to give him time. That's not a put down. If that is the case, Bridich made a gutsy move with Troy Tulowitzki.
He did. I don't agree with it, but he made a gutsy move.
And he brought in maybe 3 pitchers of possibility, potential. True. More so than the Pomerantz White bunch that came in. And they were first-round draft choices. Let's assume for a moment that Bridich is going to be a good general manager. He's learning on the job. He's a smart guy. Went to an Ivy League school. Played catcher. Let's assume that for a moment. Then maybe you don't need the baseball guy up there. And, you know, I raised the thing of Kelly McGregor. He was not a baseball guy.
He was a
an
football
athlete.
player.
But what he did, and he's been praised a lot in death, what he did do was serve as an intermediary between McMorris and Charlie Monfort and the general manager, whoever it might have been at that time, whether it was Bob.
Gebb or O'Dowd.
Yeah. That maybe that's what they need.
And whether you agree with it or not, he established a culture. He says, this is the way our business is going to be run.
We have a good friend, David McReynolds, that owns season tickets and a big Rockies fan and everything, and is one of our partners in this business. Put him in as president and let him be. Joe Ellis is not a football guy.
No.
Joe Ellis makes the trains run on time. He handles all the other crap.
Business.
But Dick doesn't really want to handle all the other crap. He wants his fingers in the pie of the baseball team all the time.
Right. I remember distinctly him, sitting in Guy Vett's office one day in spring training and Dick calling constantly to know how well Rosario was catching at that time. I was like, whoa, okay.
And that's what you watch him at spring training. And I would stay at the casino.
Right.
Talking Stick,
and he stayed there. And I had one of the reasons I stayed there is we'd hang out by the pool and talk, and he wanted to talk about specific players and what they're responsible for, how they were doing. He made a big point of coming up talking to me about why Jim Tracy didn't have a Jim, show him, we can shake hands. That was a guy, he's a fan. He wants to sit in that dugout seat and be recognized for being a fan. He wants to argue with people about baseball. That's why he got himself
That would
into
be an
trouble.
easy win for the other people.
Well, I'm just saying that's what he was doing with all of the fans.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know what we're doing. That's not what the president of the club should be doing.
Well, no,
if he's not Tony La Russa, he should be a guy
like
that's
Joe
saying,
Ellis.
Dick, you're over here. Pat, as Dick would go, as Joe would do. Pat, you handle the big picture. Let them handle the baseball, and I'll kind of intercede. But he doesn't get that. He thinks he's trading baseball. He's a baseball card guy. He's a fan. He grew up as a baseball fan. So now, and I even asked him, he wasn't even a big baseball fan.
He doesn't understand the game.
He was like a track guy.
All he did or does is parrot what the general manager tells him anyway. He doesn't know the game, yet he continues to meddle.
Well, that was his fear that Dan O'Dowd, see, I really believe it, and I think the same way with Jeff Bridich. That's why I don't see any difference, is that when you say parrot, he could say things to Dan O'Dowd, and then Dan O'Dowd wouldn't tell him, go away, go away. Dan finally had enough of him, but Dan kissed his butt all the time and said, yeah, Dick, you're right, I'll do that.
Yeah,
stuff
well, he
for
was
you.
making between $1 million and $1.5 million
But
a year
guess
to do a
what?
bad job.
See,
He knew a dummy above him when he recognized it.
I think that's why he got this guy in, because he didn't run Dan O'Dowd off. Dan O'Dowd ran himself off, and so then he turned to Bridich and said, I want you to be like Dan was, because you trained under Dan. Come to me and ask my idea. And do you really want the president? Forget the owner of the team. Let him be the owner of the team. Let the owner of the team get up and cry. I love me some Torrey Tulowitzki. I love my players. Be that owner. Get a president who's not going to cry and say, I don't want Dick as an owner if he's crying. Then he's going to not make the move with Cargo afterward because, I don't want to get up and cry again. Oh, and I don't have time to deal with this. Oh, I want you to make a trade. I don't want a president of a team when I call him and say, the next biggest thing out of Cuba is a guy named Abreu, and he goes, well, who's he? Whew, that scared me. That scared me. You're supposed to be a baseball guy, and you don't know that this guy is, and I know that he went to him and said, who is this guy, what he's telling me about? And they made some half-hearted effort to try and sign him. They didn't try to overpay him, which they would have had to do. They tried to lowball him, and the White Sox easily passed that. Yeah, in the story. So Weiss, he's not going to get rid of Weiss because Weiss is his buddy. He loved it. He compared to me, the day they came up with Weiss's name, he compared to the assassination of Kennedy and Pearl Harbor, of days that would be memorable, not positive days. Maybe now it's like Titanic, if you want to remember memorable days. Because that hiring wasn't any good. You can do it. I love Walt. I loved Walt as a player. I love him as a guy. Walt's not a major league manager.